I wrote a song, and I kind of feel like that it's a song that if Frank Sinatra started hanging out with Stevie Wonder, that's where this song kind of came from. And so this song is called Just For You. It's the title track of the album, and my love, this is just for you.
Oh, no, you're good.
Well, Memphis got us singing the blues, and a choir shouts from those old wooden pews. They're telling the story, so please don't confuse. My love will never beat that good news.
Welcome to 12 Days of Curtis.
Excellent. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my annual Christmas show.
Yep.
And this year I wanted to really talk about the album, you know. And so I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to be here.
Oh, please.
Well, we're going to be talking about your Christmas album.
Yeah.
And we want to just celebrate it and kind of break it down and the process that you went through. And so I have a few questions.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so let's first talk about you as a songwriter.
Yeah.
What motivated you to create music? What motivates you to create music?
Man, that's a great question. I feel like for me as a musician, I am really captivated with communicating and like telling stories. Like that's something that's near and dear to me. And I love telling stories both like through like message and lyric, but also through music, you know, because music is such a powerful language that it causes us to experience all kinds of feelings. And so I am motivated to create music that connects with people, where I can express myself and share something. And so that's a big reason why I create, is just to inspire people.
Yeah. Do you write songs for a particular audience or for yourself, like a personal journey?
Yeah. I would say both. And what I mean by that is that I write songs for my brand that Curtis Wayne Hunt as the artist is going to submit to the world. But then I also write songs for others, like whether it's a collaborative thing or it's as a gift to them. Like one of my love songs, actually, I wrote because of someone's wedding, you know. So it's both. I write songs for myself, and I also write songs for others, and that's been a good balance for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, what do you hope listeners feel or experience when they hear your songs?
My desire is for people to experience hope and be inspired and maybe put words to the feelings that they have, you know. I kind of already mentioned that music is a really powerful tool in that it invites us to a space where we experience all kinds of feelings, whether that's feelings of joy and happiness or feelings of reflection, questioning, maybe embracing pain and acknowledging that. And so I feel like in light of that, I want to make sure that like my songs are meant to really encourage and inspire people and allow them to feel things that they need to feel.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
You know? Because I think the more that we allow ourselves to feel, the more that we heal. You know, and I didn't mean to rhyme it like that in a cliche kind of way, but like, but I think music is healing. You
Yeah,
know,
it is.
It heals us,
It
you
is.
know, when we experience it, and I don't know, that's a big thing for me.
What inspired you for your first album to
Yeah.
be a Christmas album?
I get asked that question a lot, and there's a few reasons why I chose that. And I think we kind of have to back up a little bit so you know some of the history. 2012 to 2015, I was in a Master's of Music program for commercial voice at McNally Smith College of Music, and I was going to graduate in December of 2015. And because of that, I knew that I was going to have to put on what they would call a final recital, because that's what the Academy calls it. It's recitals rather than concerts, right?
Right.
But I knew I had to put on a final show, essentially. And I was going to be graduating in December, so I thought, well, this is a really great time to celebrate at least some kind of Christmas music. But I think the thing that really tipped the scale for me in terms of choosing to do a Christmas or a holiday full-length album is just because it really is the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, it is.
In that everybody, whether they acknowledge the birth of Jesus or not, it really is a time when people let their guard down, they open up their heart, and you almost see love, kind of tangibly, around, in interactions, in people's benevolence, in their willingness to give. I mean, it's incredible to watch it all unfold. And I just felt like I wanted to be able to offer a project at that time of the year when people are more open to love. And that's why I chose that. And I think that there were some that were really, really critical of me doing a holiday project as a first album project as an artist, because they were looking at me like, well, you're never going to get any kind of traction that way in the industry. And I just thought to myself, well, it's not that I don't want that, but that's not my main priority. I'm not necessarily trying to be a touring artist exclusively. So I'm not going to use that as my gauge for success.
Right.
I really felt more compelled to put out a project that was going to celebrate love at that time of the year, and that's why I did it.
Yeah.
So it's maybe a little controversial, but that's what I chose.
Yeah.
Why I chose to do a Christmas album.
What about song selection? Now, wait, before
okay.
you start getting into it.
Okay.
Don't go too in detail, because we are going to be diving deeper into the songs, individually.
Right.
But I want you to talk a little bit about your song selection. Can you walk us through your process for selecting the songs? How did you approach writing your original holiday music?
Yeah.
Can you kind of, without too much, because we're going to dive deeper in our next segment.
We don't want to give away too much. So we're just going to give a little sneak peek.
Just a little sneak peek.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Got
just tell us about the songs a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I chose some songs that are familiar, and I chose to offer some songs that are new. And I did that because at Christmas time, we have these traditions, that and something's a tradition when a year goes by and it doesn't happen, and you're like, oh, no, it's not Christmas without this. And so I recognize that, and I know that it's difficult for myself and probably others to listen to music at Christmas time that they don't know. We want to listen to things that we know, so I knew that the album had to have a good amount of familiar songs on the album that people would recognize, and kind of satisfy that holiday tradition, bug that everybody has. So over half the album actually is familiar songs. Some of them are public domain in that I didn't have to pay any copyright licenses for them because they're just public. Mm-hmm. And there were other songs that I chose, and those are more the public domain songs are Christmas carols, right? Yeah. And then I chose 3 songs that were covers, kind of as a tribute to some soulful Motown jazz artists. And so I chose 3 songs of theirs, and then I wrote 4 songs. Yeah. So 6 songs on the album are familiar, and then 4 songs are original. And
I want to say that of all the songs on the album, I think the boys and I's favorite songs are your original songs. Like those have become nostalgic for us.
Sure.
So
yeah, well, thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's my hope, is that not that you would love the song, because I'm your husband.
Why not?
But that a new tradition was born.
Yeah.
It
was.
And that was my hope in writing original stuff, is to offer some new stuff and be inspirational and create some new memories for people. And so, yeah, the album is a mix, of familiar and some new stuff. And I happen to love it, and I'm proud of it too, because I think that in a lot of ways, even though the album came out in 2015, I feel like it's aged pretty well.
Yeah,
like,
it has.
I listen to it every year and I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
It's going to last, It won't be the end of what I do, but it's a project that I can revisit, every holiday, because there's music on there that people love to listen to every time of the year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, okay, let's jump into the recording.
Oh,
the
yeah.
album. So I learned a lot. Like, it's very, very rare. So as somebody who's not a professional musician myself, like, you have this idea that people are just recording and writing songs by themselves, but actually it's more common for people to collaborate. And so this album was a huge collaboration.
Yeah.
And so can you just share with us a little about the collaborations that you had
absolutely.
with the album and
Absolutely.
songwriting?
Well, to start off, I think I just want to say, Lovey, that like the album wouldn't even be, without your support. It wouldn't be. From your supporting me as my wife, you supporting me in like how I look and making sure I'm dressed right. Like, you sang on the album and you were really, supportive and just it coming to be and the creative process. So I really appreciate that. And, you were definitely a huge collaborator, for the album, of course. And then I had a community within McNally Smith that was coaching me, in the process as well. Charlie Christensen was my advisor, and he is an amazing songwriter in his own right. He actually invited me to perform in his holiday show when I came back to the Twin Cities for the album release concert, which was super amazing. And then Gary Rue was my songwriting teacher at McNally Smith, and so he was very helpful in terms of kind of keeping me on the right path for really keeping me focused on my lyric content and keeping it concise but also meaningful. And so he was huge for the collaborative process in terms of the writing. Judy Vinar. Judy is how I got introduced to bossa nova and helping with my Portuguese. And she really helped me get my feet wet in terms of like my scatting ability in vocal jazz. Sean was huge with kind of helping me fine-tune my voice, especially in the last stretch, for me putting it on the album and all that. So, I mean, honestly, like those three people from McNally Smith were hugely collaborative, in the album even coming to be. Super grateful for them. But then it's the boots on the ground people. You know what I mean? 'Cause they were kind of managing it from the cloud,
from
right?
afar,
But then there was the people who were like with me in the trench, and we have to talk about him.
We can't not talk about this guy.
We can't not talk about George Jackson.
George Jackson.
I mean, the guy is
incredible.
Yes, in every way. He's my brother, and we met him at that church we were at in the Chicagoland area. And I remember watching him lead worship one week, and I was like, this isn't all he does. He does more things than just this. And not that what he was doing was, beneath him, but like I could tell, like, there's some other skills in some other areas. And so come to find out that he doesn't just sing, he doesn't just play acoustic guitar, but he also plays bass. Like, I mean, that's his instrument, is bass. Plays piano, organ, plays horns.
Everything.
He produces other artists. And I was like, this is the guy. This guy
is got a lot going for him.
Yeah, for sure. So George was huge. I mean, honestly, aside from you, like the album wouldn't be.
Right.
It just wouldn't be without George.
No.
You know, he was collaborative in every single way, from the arranging process to the tracking to the engineering to the production. I mean, like, it is him, you know, so I'm super grateful for him. And then, of course, in that community of people that we were in, you know, I also had, you know, kind of like fingertip access to all these other artists that were just
amazing artists
floating around.
Yeah.
And so I remember
just hanging out.
Yeah, like my colleagues John and Aaron Nowicki,
Yes.
you know, just jumped in without any reservation. They're like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
And so like John played drums on the entire album.
Yep.
You know, and on the album, let's talk about it. You know, there's a lot of diversity in terms of the genre. I mean, there's jazz, there's pop, there is kind of symphonic like rock, there's soul, there's some Motown, tips to Motown.
Yeah, and he
like,
didn't miss a
he
beat.
didn't skip a beat. You know, he got
See
that.
what I did there?
I saw that. John, I mean, but he like just seamlessly like floated across every genre and kept it true and respectful, you know, to each genre. So John played drums on the entire album. And then his wife, Erin, she's got a beautiful voice and sang backup. And so like the two of you are the female vocals on the album. And she also took my pictures for the album artwork.
She's an artist,
Oh, incredibly creative. Beautiful eye. Yeah. So John and Aaron were huge. I was walking down the hallway because George had kind of introduced the idea of putting horns on the album. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And I was walking down the hallway and I heard my colleague, Dr. Courtney Harris, playing his trumpet. And I was like, hey, George, we should get Courtney involved in this.
Yes.
This would be good. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And so Courtney comes in with his trumpet, his flugelhorn, his cornet, his trombone,
so talented,
and his saxophone, and like laid down every single wind and horn instrument that is on the album is all him. I mean, like just an incredible musician, great tone, great attitude. I mean, and he also sang some backup a little bit on Shine. So just incredible. Appreciate him so much. Now, when you hear like some of those like soul pop, like Motown influenced songs, like you hear strings.
Yeah. But you also are like, you have an affinity for string arrangements.
It's true.
Yes, you really do.
I do. I love a good string arrangement.
So even though, yes, like the feel of the album needed strings, like you also are kind of known for strings in your songs.
Yeah, I do love strings.
Yeah.
I do love incorporating orchestral elements like in like commercial pop. I love that. And so I knew that I wanted to have some strings. And George has this friend named Lee England Jr., who's an incredible violinist out of LA. I mean, just impeccable in everything that he does.
Yeah.
And he tracked all the violins, all the violas, all the cellos.
So blessed.
Himself. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I just feel really grateful for him in the mix, and that I have these like professionals, you know, that really, because I think I want to say this, like I think in the vein of like being an independent artist, like it's really, I think, easy to kind of like want to hang on to kind of the independence of the art and like do everything yourself and all of that. But I knew from day one that I didn't want to just have like a purist kind of indie kind of sound where like I wrote, recorded, engineered, produced all of it myself. I just knew that I wouldn't be able to do it in the way that I felt would be honest to who I am as a musician.
Yeah.
And so that's why I chose to be really collaborative, like with others in the mix, because I knew that, I mean, I can play the keyboard stuff, but I'm not going to lay down the bass guitar. Like someone else got to do that, you know? So I feel grateful for the tracking artists and the collaborators that were involved, because it really elevated the whole project. So I feel grateful for that. I would say the last one that we have to talk about is Nolan.
Yes.
You know, Nolan.
Branding.
Yeah. I mean, well, we've known Nolan for over 20 years.
Yeah.
You and he's been managing my website, the entire time. And he actually, fun fact, he actually designed the album artwork himself. Yeah. Now, he would never take credit for that as far as because he's not like a designer. I don't really design. I'm like,
yes, you can.
Okay.
Well, he did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he took Aaron's picture.
Yeah.
And he really put some of those like muted Christmas colors kind of over the top of it that really, I think, helped bring some nostalgia.
Yes.
To
the cover.
To the cover, and then he laid out all of the album artwork himself. As far as the structure of it, because this was at a time when people were choosing to do both CDs and digital distribution. Yeah. And I knew that we needed to have some kind of hard copy product for people who still use CDs. And so he's the one who designed all of that. And then, of course, has been managing the brand on the web in terms of that presence and all that. So I just feel grateful for his collaborative work. And I mean, that's all the people, isn't it? Well,
there's one more special guy in here.
Where?
We have one more special guy.
So, I've been in higher ed for a long time, and there is this young guy who he played the cowbell, on Shine, and he's very.
We have to give him his props.
Very proud of that. So,
yes.
Peter Crum, thank you for playing cowbell.
More cowbell
on Shine.
Yes.
So
awesome.
Yeah, I feel grateful for all of those people because the album wouldn't be what it is without those people, and so I'm just grateful for them.
What was your overall vision for the album? You talked a little bit about how eclectic the sound is.
Yeah.
But did you have an overall vision for the sound initially?
Yeah. Well, when we think about Christmas music, a lot of that sound really has been kind of identified by the jazz artists from the 1940s.
Right.
These quintessential Rat Pack artists that defined holiday Christmas music. And so I knew that in order to have a holiday project, we needed to have a very strong influence or a tip of the hat, to the 1940s Rat Pack jazz culture of holiday music, because that's what people identify as Christmas music. So I knew that I wanted there to be a jazz influence. And of course, jazz is a cousin to gospel and R&B and soulful pop and Motown. They're all in the same family, genre-wise. So that's really, I would say, kind of what created the sound, of the album. But it wasn't just that vision, it was also the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because had George or John or Lee not been in the mix, we wouldn't have had the strength, and Courtney, we wouldn't have had the strength of the musicianship in terms of the sound and being able to bend and weave around to bring those soulful jazz influences that is what is on the album. I mean, my voice is what it is, but it was also the instrumentation, that helped create that scope and that artistic vision.
Yes.
So that's kind of where that came to be as far as the sound. And I think people who know me enough know that I am highly influenced by improvisational artists. Even before I met you, I loved listening to gospel. I loved it. I didn't grow up in that community, but I loved listening to it. I loved the spirit of it. I loved the harmony of it, the syncopation, the groove, all of it. I just was so in love with it. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, being married to you, my whole world has changed in terms of my influences and my understanding, of things. And that has been an enriching thing, not just for me, but I think it also has created some new relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
And some new partnerships with people and with ministries and organizations that have been, I think, really fruitful. And I'm grateful for that.
Lovely weather.
How long did it take to make the album?
One could say that I started writing the album in 2012.
Yep.
They could say that. The album was released in 2015, but I really started writing songs in as early as 2012. Maybe not with like the album necessarily in mind, but like Christ the Lord got written in 2012. Hark the Herald got arranged in 2013. And then I started really writing, songs for the album in 2014, really. So I would say that like off and on, it was a kind of a 3-year journey.
Yeah.
But really the last year, of it from like November of 14 to November of 15 really was just the year of Christmas.
Yep.
I didn't really stop, doing Christmas stuff. And I just want to like make it like perfectly publicly known that I am not the kind of person that listens to Christmas music in March. Like,
Oh, I am.
and I love you for that. But
He was like, Christmas album, it might get annoying. I was like, no. Just kidding.
Yeah. But it's not me to like listen to Christmas music in March or April or June. Like that's not me. But like I really didn't have much of a choice in the year of 2015 because I was doing so much prep work for my grad school and then also for the album itself. So there was a lot of stuff going on during that time. So like really kind of like in early 2015, if I'm looking at my notes right, like is when I finished writing Empty Chair. And that song honestly probably took the longest to write itself just because of how delicate of a song it is.
And I'll just add too about it that I really feel like a lot of people resonate with that song. So I feel like that's one of your more moving songs that people really, like to talk with you after the show. That definitely is a special song.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because it took a while to write, it took a lot to experience it.
Yeah.
But that song took a while to write. And then I got the agreement with George in February of 15 for him to do the project. I started making demos for George in the spring. So it was like April. At the end of my spring semester in 2015, my songwriting teacher, Gary, he gave me an assignment. He's like, you need to write a song in a week. And you need to focus the song on what you're thinking about literally right now. And I was like, okay. So I was thinking about, I'm writing a Christmas album. All these songs are like that are holiday music from the Rat Pack. They're all love songs, celebrating love at Christmas. And of course, I was thinking about you.
You were thinking of me?
Always, love.
Me?
Always, yes. So I wrote Just For You, literally Just For You. I wrote that song right at the end of April. And then I started doing tracking with George in the summer. So we were tracking Christmas songs in June, which felt really strange.
No, it felt amazing. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, well, it was
really exciting.
To like record these like sleigh bells in the middle of like Chicago summer.
Yeah.
In summer. We were tracking Christmas songs in the dead of summer. Give Love on Christmas Day and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas were arranged and tracked in July. And of course, George, you listen to those two songs, you're like, that's George, like his sound and everything. In August of 2015, I started making the arrangements for the album release show, which was going to be in December of 15. So I booked Peter Shue, my good brother here in Minneapolis, professional musician. He's amazing.
He's amazing, yeah.
I booked him as the musical director for the show, and he booked the band and the horns and the strings. And so we had all those players live on the stage. So that was amazing. So I booked him in August. In September, we tracked... I don't think you were there that day because there wasn't a lot of vocals on What Child Is This? But like that song, like if you listen to it, like that song's a big band song. Like it's like screaming horns for days.
It's
and
I love that
swing
song.
jazz. And like we literally tracked that song in the studio in one day.
Yeah.
It was actually wild to watch it happen because George had the progression kind of already laid down. John put the swing in, and then Courtney just started tracking horn after horn after horn after horn. I mean, he just kept going, and it was actually really incredible to watch it kind of all come together in one day's time. So that was done in September. In October, we got the photo shoot done for the album artwork. Aaron took me out to this theater area in kind of a warehouse district of Hammond, Indiana.
Just a fun fact about Hammond, Indiana. The movie The Christmas Story is based out of Hammond, Indiana. So there's like a really fun museum.
There is.
Kind of connected to like a travel center gas station out there. That's so fun. So if you ever go through there, you need to stop at the Christmas Story. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tourist trap, but
it's fun. Don't. I love it. It's so fun. It's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like it, and I think that movie, is a holiday cult classic.
Yes.
I mean, like really,
So the town is very sweet. So it feels very holiday. Feels very. So keep going. You and Aaron found.
Well, we didn't go to the Christmas Story Museum for that, but she did take me down into kind of like this warehouse district area of Hammond, because Hammond is kind of historic in that way, and of course Chicago is warmer than Minneapolis, so like there wasn't any snow on the ground at all, which was a very weird thing for me to adapt to, like when we were living there. It's just how late when snow came. So we were there on Halloween, and it had rained, so like everything was really like overcast and dreary and wet, and I was like, this is actually kind of a cool vibe actually. And so the album artwork cover got taken in kind of like an alleyway back behind the theater, and then there are some pictures in the album artwork that are like inside the theater, and then there's this picture that we didn't actually plan on at all. It was kind of like just this random thing that happened. We were leaving the site and driving past this church that had this really like vibrant red door.
Yeah.
And I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I was like, Aaron, like, look at that door. And she's like, yeah, that's cool. So like we got out the car and like went and snapped this like, it was a quick snap. It wasn't anything.
And she caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that photo of me in front of that red door kind of became the faceplate, really of like all of the album touring from that moment forward. And I eventually rebranded, the show with those black and white, outside pictures that I did here in Minneapolis. But initially, like that red door was kind of like that was the original one, So anyway, Aaron took that photo and we handed it off to Nolan, and he started making some drafts of like the album artwork, and the rest of it kind of all came into being from there as far as him. We hit November, and George was like finishing up tracking strings in LA with Lee. And so that happened kind of super on the last minute. And then mid-November came, and I realized that there's a whole world of music publishing that I had no idea about. And I learned so much in so little amount of time. It actually is, quite frankly, almost a miracle that the album released Black Friday weekend. iTunes had a rule basically that if you were going to release a holiday project, it had to be in by November 1.
And it was not November 1.
Not November 1. I was really sweating actually, and I was also really nervous about. In fact, I almost cut This Christmas.
What?
I almost cut Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and I almost cut Give Love on Christmas Day, because I didn't realize that you had to have a certain kind of license to use other people's music. I just thought people just did it.
Oh yeah.
And
I do.
And then when I realized that you had to have some kind of license, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to afford to pay the Jackson estate
Right.
to use Give Love on Christmas Day?
You don't afford that.
I don't afford that, So I was sweating, but I got tipped off to this place called Easy Song Licensing that basically secured all of the legal stuff, and I paid them the money they asked me to pay them, and it was not thousands and thousands of dollars, but it was enough to cover the mechanical licenses so that I could, release and distribute these songs legally. And so I'm super grateful for that, but it took me a while to figure all that out. So like November was kind of a month of sweating, quite frankly. But thankfully everything got lined up the way that it was supposed to, and the album was live on iTunes on November 28th, 2015.
Hi everyone, today's a good day because my new Christmas album, Just For You, is live, online. It is available on my website, curtiswaynehunt.com, or on iTunes.
And then of course we get into December, and I'm finishing up the school semester that I'm working for, and all of that performance stuff. And then we packed up the boys, the luggage, all of my gear into our
like
minivan.
Like sardines.
And no one could move.
Like, are you boys okay back there? Somebody check on Gabe. There's no way right now that would ever work.
No.
Not with our giants.
Oh, no. We have to take 2 cars to go to your mama's right now.
We have to rent a Penske truck,
So we packed up everybody in December to drive through the snow of northern Wisconsin to get through, and I dropped you guys off at your mom's, and I went on to Minneapolis and did a few like house shows, and then you came into town and we did the album release concert at McNally Smith. And then we did some more house shows, and then came back through and did that coffee shop in Stevens Point.
Yep.
And then came back home. And since then, the album has been toured, really across the Midwest. Churches, coffee shops, houses, performance hall venues. That's the cool thing about it being a holiday project, is that, we always have an opportunity to revisit it.
Every year.
Every year.
Yeah, so that's been the fun part.
Yeah, and, there have been moments when I've, taken a break from it, with 12 Days of Curtis in terms of how it's like evolved. But, I still listen to the album and I'm like, this is aging pretty well. Yeah. Like I don't feel ashamed of it, or that I'm like, oh, I'm never going to share that again. Like, I don't feel that,
How do the themes of the songs relate to your personal holiday traditions?
One of my most favorite holiday traditions actually is like getting a real live evergreen on Black Friday. Like that is one of my favorites. And I love doing that because that's what I was raised with. I was raised with real evergreen, and you walk on the needles and they go on your feet, and it's just part of the whole experience. And but yet your home smells like the forest, and like that is worth it right then and there. So some of the songs that kind of have brought me back to like my childhood, in that way, have been Hark the Herald, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Oh Holy Night, What Child Is This? I mean, those are all songs that like I learned as a child, So I think that like those are songs that remind me, of traditions that I was raised in terms of like my family life, and the evergreen in our house, and going to church, and drinking hot cocoa, and having unique things around the house. So I love how that music brings me back to that nostalgia. I love that part of it. So that's part of how it informs, some of the traditions that I have had in the past, and then some that are now here in the present and in the future. I love how the boys have just taken to Shine, and they sing that, around the house. And I love how you were talking about how Christ the Lord has impacted you, and just how much you love it. And and then hearing how people have responded to Empty Chair
Yeah.
and being able to connect and relate, like, yeah, I lost my person, whoever that person is, and that sense of loss, but yet connection to the season because of how much nostalgia is just unearthed, at Christmas time. So I'm grateful for how the songs have created some new traditions.
Name 3 types of Christmas cookies.
Gingerbread, sugar, and snickerdoodle.
Card.
Card. Thank you for the card.
Dad's trying to be cool.
I don't have to try.
So we're going to do like a song listening.
Yes.
And we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into each song. And I'll
Yes.
just ask you some questions.
Song
and
stories.
You can give us some song stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the first song on the album
Yeah.
is personally, the song is one of my most favorite songs. You can,
Do you want me to play it?
yeah.
Okay, here we go. So let's listen to it while we talk. So here we go. Hey.
Horns. Okay. So this Christmas, number 1.
Number 1, it's the opening track.
The opening track. I love this song personally because this is a Christmas song my family grew up listening to
Yeah.
at the holidays as a kid. So
Yeah.
I have an affinity for this song. But can you just tell me what inspired you to choose this song for the album?
Yeah. Well, because I wanted to choose songs that were heavily influenced from like the soul and the jazz community, I knew that
No brainer.
Donny Hathaway's This Christmas is like it is a no-brainer. Like this is an obvious choice. So I love this song. I always have, and I chose it because I knew that it would fit, the album really, really well.
Yeah. How did you approach putting your unique style into it?
Yeah. Well, I knew that by choosing this song, I needed to do a tribute, to the song, to just leave it alone, to honor it with those beautiful strings. There they are. Yes. Yeah, I knew that we needed to be really respectful of the song itself and keep things really true to how Donnie recorded it in the first place. And so we kept this. It's a little slower than the original, but just pretty much in the same lane as far as the tempo and the groove and the horns and the strings.
And the background vocals.
The background vocals, you and Aaron. Yeah, there it is. So, yeah, I knew that we needed to do a tribute, and so that's why I kept it, alone, or left it alone. So, anyway, yeah.
What was one of your favorite, okay, keys?
Oh, yeah, that's George right there.
Come on, George.
Yeah.
What was one of your favorite contributions to the song?
I loved the strings.
Yeah.
I love the strings, and I loved improvising over this vocal because I'm a soulful singer, and so it's easy for me to flip around and bring in some soul there. So I loved that part of it. But I have to say, probably my favorite part was the strings, putting the strings in. Even though this isn't a real heavy string song, it's the horns are more present, honestly, because there they are. There's the horns. They're so strong. But this is a really cool song because it incorporates. It's one of the few songs on the album that actually has both the horns and the strings together.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the songs either have one or the other, but This Christmas incorporates both of them together at the same time. So it's a good show closer, or a show opener in album opener in this regard. So anyway, yeah, loved this song so much.
All right, next song.
What's next?
Next song,
Give Love.
Give Love on Christmas Day.
There it is. You want me to play the track?
Please.
Okay, here we go. There it is. That little muted horn.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
People making lists, hiding special gifts.
My favorite
taking time
vocal
to
technique
be
that you use is your
kind to
soft
love.
voice
Yeah.
It's that time
in your range.
Yeah.
So not your falsetto, but like your range, but like
Central.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite vocals that you did.
Really? Okay. Good to know. I sang this gently because George really slowed it down, because the original, of course, is much faster than this. But I knew that because of how it was sitting in terms of like its groove and its tempo was much more relaxed and it was warmer and richer.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to kind of treat this very velvety, very gently. I don't want to say romantic, but like I definitely like had a much softer approach, even
Oh, it's so good.
in my improvisation right there.
That was so good. I love that.
Yeah, but I love this song so much, honestly, because of the message. I mean, you just can't argue with the message of this song because it's about giving,
What inspired you to put this song on the album?
the message,
Message.
hands down. Yep. Yeah, the message, because I just feel like there is not enough music that encourages us to be selfless.
And the Great Commandment.
Yeah, Great Commission. Yeah. No, commandment.
Commandment.
Commandment. Oh,
Love
yeah.
God, love each other.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There it is. Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. Yeah, the message of the song is hands down why it got on the album, because what the world needs right now is love. Straight up. It's not a new message and it's not going to be an old one. You know what I mean?
It's not.
So I just chose this song because of the message of the song. And
Tell me about some of the instrumentation.
yeah, so on this song we have, of course, drums and bass, and we've got the Rhodes keyboard in the background.
What did you play? Any instruments on this?
On this song, I did not. I only sang
Only vocals.
on this song. Yep. I arranged it as far as like the kind of the format of like the structure of it, but all of the instrumentation, at least the keyboard and the bass and the guitar work, is all George. And then of course the drums are John. Courtney brought in all the horns. And then this ending that's at the end is pretty much just, I think George may have sang one of the backup vocals, but like it's pretty much just you and me. Like this song is like your vocal stacked, like all the way at the end.
I don't think I knew that it was just me.
Yeah.
I thought Aaron wasn't singing some of the sopranos.
No. And I remember asking George about that, like, because we made up this, this ending is all improvisational, right? And it's a simple progression, but it just kind of kept it going.
The background vocals were only at the end.
Yeah, well, it's coming up right after this. Is basically in the last minute of the song. So you hear that, give love. So I started it. There's you. And then we flip it. It's flipped again. And then it just flies away.
Oh, it's so good. I love
Yeah.
it.
But those backup vocals are pretty much like it's you and George just keeping stacking the whole time. And I remember talking with him about like, hey, is Aaron on this song? And he's like, I think it's just Maria. I'm like, it's cool.
I swear I hear her, but yeah, that's
No,
cool.
it's just you, because you tracked all the parts.
I mean, I remember doing like the lower alto and then the higher alto, but I don't remember being up in the rafters.
No, he put you up there.
Okay. Let's talk about song number 3. And
Yeah.
you know what? Let's combine it with song number 4 because
Okay.
I want you to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. Do you want me to start the song or should I wait?
No, start it.
Okay.
Yeah. I like kind of listening because it'll kind of draw
Okay.
some memories for me. So this song is very different from
Yeah.
the rest of the songs on the
Yeah.
album. And just tell us a little bit about your
Yeah.
vision for it.
Yeah. So Empty Chair is the song we're talking about, and this song is like musically simple but complex, in that like you hear that piano and my vocal, it's pretty much that, but then there's these beautiful strings that get brought in the mix. There's a cello. There's actually 2 violas tracked on this song. And then at the end of the song, there's kind of a long a cappella section that I tracked. And I chose that instrumentation because I wanted the song warm, dark, very melancholy, very reflective, just musically speaking,
And I don't think we said the name of the song.
Yeah, so this is Empty Chair.
Okay.
And I chose the instrumentation for it because I wanted the song to really capture this feeling of despair, of sadness, because we don't talk about grief.
No, we try to hide it.
We try to hide it. And I think it's really challenging in the holiday season when it's the most wonderful time of the year and it's festive and merry and bright and all of that. But there's a reality of memories
And missing people.
that are caught in picture frames, that are caught on phone videos or whatever of people who aren't with us anymore. And there literally is empty chairs at the dinner table. Or in this song, there's an empty chair next to the tree that used to be filled by my father or by my mother. And so the reality of going through a holiday season and grappling with grief is very, very challenging because, of course, the holidays bring up all this nostalgia and all of these memories from years past. And when you are living in a reality where there's people who were in your life that are no longer, it's challenging, And as a Christ follower, I also have hope in that I will see them again in heaven.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that at Christmas is beautiful because it is the time when Christ came to live here and be flesh, God in flesh among us. And I have often been caught with the night that he was born and kind of the huge birth announcement that God gave in the sky with the angels coming that's written about in Luke chapter 2. And so that's kind of like where this a cappella section kind of came from, is because just as a musician, I've always been really intrigued about like what that may have sounded like. And so I wrote this a cappella section, and it's all me. Like it's my voice like in 8 different parts basically, to just draw our gaze toward that night that Christ was born and the angels coming, and that hope and peace are here.
So this was your vocal arrangement.
This is all my vocal arrangement. Yeah, I scored the arrangement myself. I tracked bass, baritone, tenor 2, tenor 1, alto 2, alto 1. Like that's all myself. So it's very different parts of my range, And I changed the key to get us to a point where we could transition into Hark the Herald, Angels Sing, because again, I wanted to kind of pay tribute to like Christ is born.
And this is where it
And this is where it switches over into the next track, which is Hark the Herald.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's all of a sudden this beautiful hope.
Yes.
Like, okay, yes, we experienced grief.
Yes.
And there's hope on the other side.
Yes. Yes. And this song is story-wise that very thing, in that, like, he is here. Glory to the newborn king.
With this song, when you came here and did rehearsals with Peter,
Oh, yeah.
and we were in the rehearsal room,
Yes.
and all of the orchestra,
Yep.
and Peter was conducting,
Yes.
and you were singing, and were you on the keys? Are you on the keys for this
No,
one?
he wanted me to play piano on this song live. I mean, I did record the piano in this album. Like, all that little arpeggio stuff is all me. But, like, live, this song is actually vocally pretty demanding because of how high it gets.
So you had to concentrate on
I
that.
was like, Peter, I have to focus on just singing.
I have a clip. I actually videoed this part, kind of like the opening.
Yeah, because it's cinematic. It's epic.
Yes,
Yeah.
and my whole body just like goosebumps from head to toe, and I just started weeping because of how beautiful it was. And just like the joy in the people's faces, like when it switched from the sadness into the joy, like it was just, even when I listen to it like right now and talking about it, it's just like a core memory for me.
Yeah, sure.
In the tour process, which we'll talk more about.
Well, and this goes back to what we talked about at the very beginning, in that, like, my desire has been for the music that I offer to bring hope to people. And so that comes from songwriting in terms of lyrics, but it also comes in terms of arranging, with instrumentation. And so I knew that I wanted to incorporate strings on this song because I wanted to kind of get to that tip of the hat of, like, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra vibes, where, like, there's, like, this, like, intense energy from, like, the band, and then all these strings. And so here's, like, a really cool instrumental moment where we're approaching the key change. And here comes the break. I wanted it big, and I wanted it to be anthemic, and I wanted it to be powerful, to reinforce the message of hope, So it was a challenge to try and, like, incorporate all the instrumentation and the orchestration together, especially with a live band, trying to capture strings, like, with microphones when they're acoustic instruments, fighting against a live drum set. Like, that's a lot. It's a tall order. It's a lot. And I felt really proud of, like, how it came out live. So regardless, this is my arrangement of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and I'm proud of it, and it's amazing, and it was a challenge to take on, but here it is.
On this album, this is my favorite song.
Okay.
On your album,
Yeah.
Hark is my favorite.
Yeah.
Just is everything all rolled into one.
And there's the sleigh bells trailing off.
We're so excited to talk about this next song. This is an original song,
Yes.
Christ the Lord. This was the song you were talking about you wrote in 2012.
Yeah,
And kind of started, like, the movement towards the album.
that's true.
Yeah, so why don't you hit play?
Here we go.
And
For a child is born to us, a son is given to us.
that's my baby.
The government will rest on
Yes.
his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, and his government and its peace will never end.
Oh, I love that so much. That's my baby.
So that's Nathaniel.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to read that scripture because I just thought it was really beautiful that, like, a child would read the fact that a child was born. So I had him do that. And we had him and Gabriel actually try and track it. And I wanted Ethan to track it, but Ethan was in a mood that day, so he didn't want to do it. And so
Not Ethan.
never. But it's fine. It's all good because we tracked Nathaniel and Gabriel, and Nathan's was the best take of all the takes. So So
Yeah, it's so sweet to hear their little voices.
yeah,
Because now they're giants.
yes, it's true.
And so, okay, anyways, we can talk a little bit about the song. So,
Yeah.
can you just let us know what your creative process was for writing this original song?
So this song was written actually kind of collaboratively with some of my former students, because we were all kind of processing through Isaiah 9 together, and it was really my heart to have a congregational song that declared the names of Christ found in Isaiah. So he's the wonderful counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, and that there would be a congregational song that would declare that. And so we were kind of journeying through that scripture and collaboratively kind of like writing. But I finalized the song in 2012 and started leading it in that community that I was leading at that time. And I would say that there are people from 2012 even now that are still singing it, that still like know the song, and they may not use it every season or whatever, but like it's a familiar song, I would say, nonetheless, and I feel grateful for it. So the writing process was wonderful, and I had these students who would try and like add these collaborative parts. Like that little background vocal thing actually was from one of my former leaders, where it was like an echo thing, and they came up with that, and I was like, that's cool, we'll keep it, so that made it on the record, because it just kind of stuck with the song.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
fun little thing. And so that's part of the writing process for this song. What other questions you got about it?
Well, I would say that this is. Now I know I said that Hark was my favorite.
Yeah.
But I also feel like this is one of my favorites.
Oh, sure.
So maybe it's like a tie between the two. And I think because this song for me represents like your true style, like because you're kind of eclectic, so you like soulful sounding things, and
Sure.
you're a worship leader, and so I
Sure.
feel like two of those things are combined in this.
Yeah.
Are an example of you as a pastor, you as a worship leader, you as an artist. Like it kind of like brings all of those pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, this song is for sure up there.
One of your favorites.
Maybe it's a tie with Hark.
It could be a tie.
I don't know.
Oh.
Hark is amazing, but this song kind of brings that same feeling
Sure.
for me.
Well, and I think what's special about this song is that it's meant to be sang with people. It's meant to be a congregational kind of song,
Yeah.
or a circle song. Because I know some people do some circle singing. Anyway, it's meant to be sung together. Whereas a lot of the other songs on the album really are more kind of like
Performance.
solo performance.
Yeah.
Shine isn't as much, but Christ the Lord definitely is. It's meant to be like sang by a group of people, and I love this song. I think it's aged pretty well, because I think with a lot of like worship music, there are songs that were released even 3 years ago that we don't sing regularly anymore, So, and then, like I said, I don't think this song's being sang in every community every year and all that kind of stuff, but my point is that I think that this song has aged pretty well, and I think a big part of that has been because the bulk of the lyric is from the scripture.
Yeah.
I think a lot of, in terms of the like church world, a lot of the current worship songs that are written kind of like more spontaneously or more from like personal experience, they're fine, but they don't carry the same kind of like weight because they're not using as much scripture in the lyric itself. And I think that's one of the things that makes this song so strong, is that it is a retelling of Isaiah chapter 9.
Yeah.
So
It's a great song.
thanks, I appreciate
this is
that.
one of-
I remember like when we were arranging this song, like George came up with this whole like ending, as far as like kind of like the tension of these tags, and then this little diminished walk up thing that he's doing right here. I was like, when he threw that in there, I was like, George, stop it now.
The Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I remember him when we were finishing that in the studio. He kind of just sat back because he was looking at like the audio files, and he was looking at some of the vocal runs I was doing, and he's like, "Curtis, look at this."
That's awesome. It was, yeah, it's a beautiful
So
moment.
I feel grateful for this song. It's a special one for sure.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah. What's next on the list?
Next on the list,
We're going down the list.
we got Shine.
Shine,
Yeah.
another original.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so I can start playing it now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Oh wait, no, not shine.
Yeah. We
Shine.
just,
There we go. Okay. Let there be light.
hey, did you talk a little bit about what this song originally was supposed to sound like? Did we already talk about that? Or I
Maybe.
can't remember. Okay.
I can retell it.
Yeah.
So if in case we missed it. So this song, if you listen to it right now, it's has some
Motown.
it has some influences of Motown, and it's very soulful. George, brought this groove to life, and I just kind of started singing over the top. But originally, this song was, in my mind, was meant to be like a 4 on the floor kind of like dance song. Yeah, but I just the reality of it is that like we cut that style because it wasn't in line with where the rest of the album was going. And so because we were
That would have really been a surprise.
oh yeah, that was
A little
not
Easter egg.
yeah. It's not good. So the style that it is now, or what it is what it's meant to be, I think. And I really honestly just wanted to write a song about Jesus being the light of the world, but that had life and joy in it, because I feel like so many songs that talk about Jesus being the light of the world at Christmas are slow, peaceful, and hold up your candle, and
beautiful.
which is beautiful. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But
This is like a celebration.
yeah, because and I think the biggest thing is because in John 1, he talks about the fact that he is the light of the world, and the darkness will not be able to overcome
Right.
it.
Yep.
So there's power, in the light bursting through darkness. And so I just thought that the song should have life, and that was why I thought, well, maybe it should be a dance song. But I'm glad about the joyful aspect of this, because I wanted it to be something that was happy and uplifting and positive and just bright across the board. And here we have all these like vocals and horns and a driving snare in the back.
This is a fun one to perform.
Yeah.
If you ever see me performing on this song,
Yeah. Well,
we're
and
rocking out.
the ending of this song is my favorite part of the song, because it's just this like chant,
Yeah.
and when I sang it, I thought, oh, maybe it's too simple.
No.
And George was like, no. He's like, I need you to stack harmonies on top of that. And I was like, okay. And so then it kind of took a life of its own in terms of the elevation of it, because like we added more and more harmony, and then we flipped the harmonies. Like there's one more round of this.
I remember being in the sound booth for this one. Like you're supposed to kind of just stay on the microphone like this.
Yeah.
But I was like trying not to like
Right.
make waves in the
Right.
recording.
Right. It's real.
It's hard not to. It's so good.
Yeah, and I feel grateful because like this song, it ends up and it ends bright, and like listen to those trumpets screaming in the back.
Yeah. It's a great closer.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's meant to get people singing, and this part's really, really easy to get people singing along. So I know that every time that I performed it live, it's not hard, especially because it's an unfamiliar song. It's not hard to get people singing right here,
Right.
clapping along.
Catchy.
It's really catchy.
and
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah. So I'm grateful for this song, and again, it's strong because there's a lot of the scripture in the lyric, um, but I just wanted to have something that was joyful and fun, and that was powerful and strong. Because, I mean, you think about like when you go into a dark room, as soon as you flip the light on, you can see, you know. So I kind of wanted to get that imagery a little bit with the song. Here we go.
Song 7. What child is this?
What child is this?
Yes. Can you talk about any particular memories that this song evokes for you?
This song is, first of all, like a classic. You know, it's a classic Christmas carol, right? But I think in the jazz community, what's really special about this song is that this song is done outside of the Christmas season in a lot of spaces. You know, it's a pretty classic jazz standard in terms of just the melody and the progression itself. And people also know it as green sleeves as well in the music community. So regardless, like this song is special because of its strength even outside of the holiday season. But then of course the strength of it in the holiday season is the lyric, you know, and the message of what it is as far as like Christ being the King of Kings. So I chose this song because of the strength of the lyric and then also because of the familiarity, you know, in the jazz community. I've always heard this song as like a swing jazz song. And when we were in the studio, I think I talked about this a little bit earlier, just in that George had the keyboard part kind of already laid down and John laid down the groove. And then Courtney just started laying horn after horn after horn after horn, and it turned into this whole big band thing that really was something that I did not plan at the beginning, but it evolved into that. And it evolved in a, like, this song was born in one studio session. That was it. Like, there was not multiple takes, you know, of things. It effortlessly came out, which, you know, kind of speaks to like the strength of the musicians that we had in the room. You know what I mean? So I feel grateful for that. And this is the only song on the album that I vocal scat, because it's really, I think, true to the style of the song. Like the other songs wouldn't necessarily like lend itself to scat necessarily, but I knew that I wanted to have a swing jazz song, and so I used this song to do some scatting, which is gonna kind of happen after this is Courtney screaming up here, but like on that trumpet, and then there's a little keyboard solo that George is gonna do, and then I'll come in with the vocal scat, which is, here's the keyboard thing.
Is that the Rhodes?
Yeah. So at any rate, I wanted this song to be fun. I wanted it to be swing jazz. I wanted it to be alive and to just say it. This is Christ the King, you know, in a fun way. And here's the scatting.
Which you really were working a lot on in your program.
Yeah.
Your program that you were finishing.
Right. Because there it is. I haven't like sang a ton of jazz in other spaces, mostly because I've been doing a lot of like educating and then also church work, and so it doesn't always lend itself to those spaces. But I really wanted to work on it in grad school because I wanted to grow more in my ability to be able to hang with jazz cats, and so this is my tip of the hat, you know, to the jazz standard.
It's a good tip.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
This is another favorite of mine.
Yeah, this song is one of my favorites on the album, actually.
I don't know. I love every song on here.
Oh, listen to you. What's next?
Next, we have "Oh Holy Night," number 8.
Here it goes.
So what was your inspiration of the arrangement of this song?
Yeah. This song, in my mind, is similar to like the Star Spangled Banner in a way, in that like, leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Just keep it as classic as you can, because this song is so timeless, you know, and I just felt like I had heard a number of artists who did beautiful arrangements of theirs, on this song. Some took it faster and more alive or more soulful even. But I just felt like we need to keep it really clean, really simple. And there's actually an album by Crystal Lewis called Holiday, and it's like all this like classic jazz combo stuff where it's just piano and upright
know.
and drum kit. I know you know. And that song, everyone needs to know about that album because it is classic. And I was really inspired by the simplicity of their arrangements and how thoughtful it was. And so that album was kind of an inspiration in terms of like how I interpreted "Oh Holy Night," because I just wanted to keep it clean and keep it simple and keep it kind of this classic jazz combo kind of vibe. So that's what it turned into, and it's slow, so it's kind of demanding on my breath energy. And I did a key change, so that also checked my range in terms of like what I was doing. And it also at that very end, like where it's like goes up super high, it's like, ooh, that
Yeah.
that head voice.
You gotta reach up there.
Yeah.
How do you feel like the song is capturing the essence of the holiday spirit?
I think that the essence of the holiday spirit is captured in this song in its simplicity. Jesus was born in pretty humble setting.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a tranquility in this arrangement that sets a tone for kind of the sacredness, of that evening. And of course, was there a little drummer boy at the manger? Maybe not. TBD. I guess we'll find out, right? But
I'm pretty sure that was a fictional character, but
I'm pretty sure too. I'm pretty sure as well. But I wanted to keep this simple so that the tranquility of his birth was honored. That's part of like how I wanted to see the holiday kind of treated in this. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but
you did,
okay.
yeah. You did.
So, do you have more questions about this song, or do you want to just enjoy it?
Enjoy it.
Okay.
I just love the sweetness of it.
This is me on the piano in this song.
In grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ
There's your vocal.
is the Lord. Oh, praise his name forever.
George put an upright bass in it.
His power and glory evermore proclaim.
I really feel like there's that New Orleans sound kind of right through there.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, holy night,
Hey, hey, hey.
Come on, muted
Yeah,
trumpet.
Yeah, right. No, that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So good.
that's real. Well,
So
thanks.
Right, song number 9.
Okay, let's keep it
We're
moving.
heading into Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Let's have a Merry Little Christmas, shall we? There it is. This is my bossa nova song. And it is a goal of mine at some point in my life for me to find a Portuguese speaker and have that person help me translate this
Into Portuguese.
into Portuguese.
I have a
Because
friend.
do you?
Yeah, I went to college with. Simone.
I want to. Yes, of
Simone?
course, Simone. Let's talk.
Yeah.
'Cause, like-
well, I'm sure she would help you.
Oh, I would love that because I just feel like bossa nova is like, it's Brazilian and Portuguese is the language,
Yeah.
and so like I would love to translate this or have this song translated because I haven't found not yet. I haven't found a translation.
Okay, I'll ask her.
That would
I
be
didn't know
cool.
that you ever wanted that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually, like when I was working on my Portuguese, I had a number of the voice faculty at McNally that were like, "Your dialect is so good. I can tell what you're saying," and I'm
Really,
like,
as a Minnesota boy.
"Right." I'm like, thanks." Well, it's a tribute to Judy Venar, like just
Yeah.
her coaching me.
Coaching.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's ask you some questions.
Yeah.
What story or message do you hope listeners take away from this song?
From this song, my hope is that like it's a song that just lets you sit back and relax and just like I want to just relax and enjoy the friendships and the family that I have around this tree or around this table with this hot cocoa in my hand, and acknowledge that like, you know what, there might be stuff going on, but we can still acknowledge that there's goodness that we have, in our life in this moment.
Yeah.
So I hope that people are encouraged, and inspired. That's my hope. Yeah.
How do you feel like this particular track overall fits into the album?
Yeah.
Or like the theme of the album?
Right. Well, it's in the jazz camp, as far as, because bossa nova is, a cousin to jazz, and it's born in, the Brazilian culture. So I feel like stylistically it lives in the album underneath that jazz umbrella. Although some who may not know that would come be like, this is so different, than the others. But I just love the relaxed nature of bossa and those brush snares and the percussion and that guitar. Like I like that vibe a lot. So I think it fits in the jazz camp, in terms of the style.
It takes me to the beach.
Can we
Also on Christmas.
go to the beach on Christmas?
Lit country. Coconut water.
Yes. Yes. My favorite part of the song is coming up right here. George's gonna give you a little piano surprise. And then wait for it because it's coming. Here it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the little reference to Jingle Bells is just beautiful. So I love, that's my favorite. Like, it's this little sneak surprise, at the very ending. So it's my favorite part.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Fun. Well, we're on our last song. It's my song.
It's your song. It is.
Just for you.
Just for you.
An original track by Curtis Wayne Hunt.
Is this my cue to play it?
This is your cue.
Okay,
Hit
here we
it.
go. Okay, here we go. There we go.
So, looking back, how do you feel about this song now compared to when you first wrote it?
I'm still proud of this song. Like, this song is beautiful because I feel like I had this vision in my head of having like this like love song lyric, kind of classic to like the crooner age of like the Rat Pack, 1940s jazz, Christmas music. But these like altered extensions that like Stevie Wonder is known for. And so like I wanted to bring those two worlds together. And I was really actually kind of insecure about like putting this song out because I'm like, oh, this is, maybe it's too much and maybe people are going to be like, what's he doing? And I remember playing the demo for George, and George just sat back in his chair and he just laughed because he's like, bro, this is awesome. And I said, I don't know if we should do it. He's like, oh, he goes, we're totally doing this. And so then that little horn lick, he's like, here, I'm going to play this. And I'm like,
I know. And it's funny because, well, I think it's Ethan, our oldest son.
Yeah.
He always like
oh, yes.
mimics the trumpets.
Yes. It's true. And it's so classic to this song. So anyway, there's that light singing that you like at the top. But anyway, yeah, I'm proud of this song. It was a risk for me, I think, at the beginning to take it because I was just so insecure about whether or not I should do something like this. But I am grateful for it. I love the song.
Is there like a particular part of the song that you're proud of?
Yeah. I love the bridge of this song because I feel like it kind of captures the whole point of the song. Because my teacher was kind of like, what is this song even about? Like, what's a song of commitment? It's just for you. And here is the bridge right here.
Love you, and this song's one more try to give you what money can't buy.
Come on, babe.
'Cause all we got is found Christmas morn. I love her eyes on the new baby born.
And here it is.
So here it is, I'll never be torn. My heart, my love, forever is yours. Just for you.
Yeah. So there's the horns, yeah. That's my favorite part of the song. Is kind of that confessional moment in the lyric. Because the rest of it's just like candy, you know. It's meant to be soulful, romantic. It's meant to be fun, and just embrace that soulful pop, you know, kind of vibe. So, I made it.
Love you, and this song's just for you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you collaborate with other artists during the tour? We talked a little bit about it, but you can elaborate on other artists outside of the recording that you collabed with.
Yep. There were some key places that I had some strong collaborators in. One was a performance that I was involved with in Memphis, Tennessee. And there was a whole crew of people that played Shine, really for the first time. It was really ever debuted at the Cannon Center in Memphis. When I brought the album here to Minneapolis, at least for the album release concert that happened in 2015, I had really the finest musicians in town that are currently even still gigging, you know, along with myself. So I feel grateful, you know, that I had this killer rhythm section, these seasoned horn players that are all music educators, these string players that are either professional or former students that I had in, you know, from the past. And so I feel grateful for those people. It wasn't difficult, you know, to find people to support the performance of the album release concert. And like I talked about Peter hiring him as the musical director for the album release concert, he's the one who got in, you know, the band and the horns. I was really more influential in getting the string players in the mix just because that's just how it happened. And then you sang backup, and then our dear friend Jenny sang backup at the concert as well. And so I just feel grateful for all of those people that collaborated. And that was the largest gathering of musicians that I've had access to in terms of how the album has been toured. Because many of the other places that I've gone to share the album with, like on tour, have really been either just like solo shows
Right.
or small combo shows where like I had a horn player along with me, or like you singing backup with me, or a certain space, whether it's been a house or a coffee shop or whatever the case has been. So the album really has been toured, as far south as Tennessee, and then kind of throughout Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and that's where it's kind of been.
Had anybody told you any stories
Yeah.
or, connected with you after your show that really kind of stands out to you that you can remember?
Yeah. One story that I remember was a friend of mine from high school came to the album release concert at McNally Smith. And she had recently lost her brother. And her brother was a couple years older than she was. So he died pretty young. And she told me, she said, when you sang Empty Chair, she said, I saw him. And, I'm not going to get into like the depths of what that means necessarily, but like in that moment, she was able to connect, with a memory and an image of him that brought her some solace. I think of people who have come to me and asked for like the chord chart to Christ the Lord, and that are doing it, in their own space. I think of a dear friend of mine from high school who was living in Chicagoland, who wanted to partner with my brand for a season of time to help me with marketing. And she came to every single one of my holiday concerts that I did in Chicago after the album was released, and helped me put those on, and helped me with the brand management and the administration around that. So I know that like for her, she was caught with the message and with the music to the point that she was willing to work. And it wasn't work that she was asking money for. Like, she wanted to donate her time to the brand because of what it meant to her and what I think it was helping her in terms of taking next steps with her own career. And I just feel humbled that like somebody would choose to give their time to collaborate with my work in that way because they found some value in it for themselves as well. That's really meaningful, So I feel grateful for like memories like that. I think about how there are musicians who have played or sang with me in the past, whether it was at the album release show or something else, that remember that concert or remember that I have the album and they want to do something like that again, and that I know that if I called them, they would show up. Yeah.
Do you have future projects in mind?
Yes. Sometimes I joke with people that are like, I don't really know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm really dreaming about like another live show with all the horns and all the strings and all the band. And so I've got a lot of things to work out. I've got a lot of money to raise to pull that off, but I'm not scared of that. I'm trying to continue to like make music and create more content that would bring love and joy into the world. I'm also working on a new like solo project that would be all original material. Really looking at cultivating my musicianship to create music that would serve for video and film.
And isn't that just the life of a professional musician too, is like you're doing multiple avenues at all times.
Yeah.
And so the season is probably just changing. So now it's going to be transitioning to artist Curtis.
Yeah.
1, 2. Well, New York had them guys who would croon. Their songs made all the girls smile and swoon. The snow outside says it can't be June. So baby, here's my new Christmas tune. It's just for you. Oh, it's just for you.
it this year for 12 days because I knew that I wanted to like share more about the album. And so like this isn't just 12 days. This is making the album.
Making the album.
Yeah. And so I'm really grateful that you're here.
Thanks.
And,
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Thank you. So you want to ask me some questions, right? And talk to me about some things?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Let's go. Let's start over.
Desire when I say
I want you that way. Tell me why.
Okay, looks like we got a signal coming from you.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a
Mistake. Ain't nothing but a mistake.
I never wanna hear you sing. That's my Kermit the Frog. All right, we're back.
Are we back? Are we back?
We're back.
Oh,
Welcome.
awesome.